powerful people do not protect their wealth the way ordinary people guard their savings. The masses defend money with fear. The powerful defend it with architecture. They understand that wealth is not something you hide, it is something you fortify. You do not place riches in a box, you place them inside a structure no storm can breach. This is the first distinction between the rich and the sovereign. The poor protect money directly. The powerful protect the conditions that generate it. To the powerful, wealth is not currency, it is continuity. It is the assurance that their influence survives turbulence, political shifts, public opinion, and the chaos that destroys lesser fortunes. They know that no empire falls from lack of gold. Empires fall when the mechanisms that protect the gold collapse. The masses save, the middle class invest, but the powerful build fortresses, not castles of stone, but structures of legality, perception, and leverage. They do not fear losing money because their true wealth is protected by layers so intricate that even disaster becomes merely an inconvenience. Here is the first Machiavellian truth. Fortune is fragile only to those who rely on fortune. The powerful rely on design. They understand that wealth exposed is wealth endangered. Money that sits in the open is a target of taxation, litigation, manipulation, and political whim. So the powerful obey a principle far older than finance. Visibility invites vulnerability. They allow the world to see the fruits of their wealth, never its roots. The house is visible, the foundation is hidden. Powerful people follow a ruthless simplicity. Own nothing, control everything. Not through secrecy, but through structure, through entities, trusts, partnerships, and legal frameworks that separate their identity from their assets. This is not evasion. It is evolution, a strategy the wealthy have used for generations because they know that direct ownership is the most dangerous form of wealth. The poor cling to their possessions. The powerful distance themselves from theirs. They know that the safest assets are those that cannot be attacked by targeting the individual. Your house can be taken, but a house owned by an entity that outlives you, that has no emotion, that cannot be intimidated, cannot be easily touched. Your business can be sued. But a business structured across layers, jurisdictions, and roles becomes an armor. This is why the powerful protect their wealth with redundancy. Not the redundancy of fear, but the redundancy of confidence. They never depend on a single bank, a single market, a single asset class, a single government. The poor keep their wealth where they feel safest. The powerful place theirs where risk is distributed until it becomes negligible. A sovereign fortune is never a monolith. It is a network, a web, a decentralized empire of income, flows that can absorb shocks without bleeding. A portfolio that survives because no single strike can cripple it. The masses believe wealth is protected by holding, but the powerful know wealth is protected by movement. Money that stagnates decays. Money that flows becomes untouchable. Just as armies are weakest when standing still, capital becomes vulnerable when it lacks motion. That is why the powerful design systems where money circulates through ventures, assets, entities, and channels that multiply its resilience. They protect wealth with time, not urgency. The masses chase rapid returns and immediate growth, and in that hunger, they expose themselves to unnecessary risk. The powerful pursue inevitability over excitement. They invest not in trends, but in structures that reward patience. Real estate with stable yields, companies that endure, assets that produce silently, funds that compound without applause. The rich buy opportunities, the powerful buy durability. But the most Machiavellian strategy of all is psychological, not financial. The powerful protect their wealth by protecting their identity from their wealth. They never let lifestyle become liability. They do not allow desire to dictate exposure. They understand that every indulgence carries a cost. Every public display invites scrutiny, and every unnecessary attachment becomes a point of leverage for others. Where the masses show what they have, the powerful show restraint. They know that luxury invites envy, and envy invites attack. So they cultivate unpredictability. They choose what to reveal with precision. A generous donation here, a quiet acquisition there, appearing ethical when it benefits them, appearing modest when it shields them, appearing average when it blinds their rivals. For perception can protect wealth more effectively than armor. Yet despite the cold elegance of these strategies, the powerful are not magicians. Their protection mechanisms can be learned by anyone disciplined enough to see money as architecture rather than comfort. You can begin with 3 principles. First, separate ownership from identity. Use legal structures available to anyone, entities, partnerships, trusts, to create distance between you and your assets, not to hide, but to fortify. What cannot be targeted cannot be taken. Second, build redundancy. Multiple income streams, multiple banks, multiple asset classes. Diversify, not for excitement, but for survival. Make your financial ecosystem anti-fragile. Third, make stability your strategy. Avoid the hunger for fast gains. Pursue the inevitability of compounding. Every powerful fortune is built on patience disguised as power. These are not tricks. They are disciplines, a different way of seeing wealth. One that transforms your money from something you protect into something that protects you. Because in the Machiavellian world of power, wealth is not measured by how much you have, but by how difficult it is for anyone to take it away. Powerful people do not rise above economic chaos because they are lucky. They rise because they prepare for storms long before the first cloud appears. While the masses celebrate prosperity, the powerful study fragility. They scan for weak points in their own systems, then reinforce them quietly, relentlessly, and without emotion. This is the second principle of protection. The powerful defend wealth by eliminating vulnerabilities before they become threats. To the untrained eye, powerful fortunes look unshakable, but their strength is not in their size, it is in their insulation. Their wealth is designed to survive scenarios the average person cannot imagine. Recession, political shifts, regulatory changes, market collapse, public backlash. No powerful person assumes stability. They assume volatility. And by assuming volatility, they convert uncertainty into opportunity. The poor react to crisis. The powerful rehearse it. This is why powerful people protect wealth not only through systems of ownership, but through systems of information. They know that in a world driven by policy, sentiment, and sudden shocks, information is the most valuable form of armor. They don't wait for news, they anticipate consequences. They don't respond to markets, they read incentives long before the markets move. They don't follow predictions, they study patterns. Power is built on foresight. But foresight is not prophecy. It is the disciplined observation of cause and effect. The willingness to see reality without emotional distortion. The masses crave optimism. The powerful crave accuracy. Optimism clouds judgment. Accuracy protects empires. This is why powerful people surround themselves not with fans, but with analysts. People who challenge illusions instead of feeding them. The masses protect wealth emotionally. The powerful protect it mathematically. Yet the most overlooked weapon in the arsenal of the wealthy is liquidity. Not just cash, but strategic liquidity, the ability to move resources quickly when others cannot. Liquidity is silent power. It allows the powerful to strike when assets are discounted, when competitors falter, when markets choke. Liquidity is dominance disguised as patience. While the average investor is trapped in illiquid positions, the powerful wait in silence, ready to act when hesitation becomes profitable. This is why powerful people maintain reserves far beyond what they need, not because they fear scarcity, but because they understand that liquidity during crisis becomes leverage. When others are forced to sell, the powerful buy. When others panic, the powerful position. Crisis becomes their marketplace, fear becomes their discount, and liquidity becomes their advantage. The poor see cash as idle. The powerful see cash as ammunition. But wealth cannot be protected by structure and liquidity alone. There is another layer, a darker, more Machiavellian one. Control of narrative. Not manipulation, but strategic storytelling. The powerful understand that perception shapes policy, and policy shapes prosperity. They know that public sentiment is a tide, and tides can drown even the strongest if ignored. So the powerful curate their public image with precision, not out of vanity, but out of strategy. A reputation of stability attracts alliances. A reputation of ethics attracts protection. A reputation of contribution earns goodwill. These are not acts of morality, they are acts of insulation. Because when enemies arise, when crises erupt, when accusations surface, the crowd protects those it believes in. Reputation is insurance. Narrative is armor. Powerful people do not broadcast their intentions. They do not announce their fears. They do not show vulnerability in moments when vulnerability can be weaponized. They maintain a face of control even when recalibrating internally, because the moment the masses sense weakness, they demand explanations. And explanations are invitations for attack. The powerful reveal only what reinforces their position. This approach is not deception, it is discipline. They understand that transparency is a currency. Used wisely, it purchases trust. Used recklessly, it purchases ruin. The poor overshare. The powerful reveal selectively. They calibrate their visibility. Present when needed, distant when strategic, silent when silence protects them. But the most Machiavellian strategy of all is one the masses rarely consider. The powerful protect their wealth by protecting their alliances. Wealth is not only money, it is network, connections, competence, specialized knowledge, access. The powerful understand that a lone individual is vulnerable, but a well-structured network is impermeable. They know that the right alliances can solve crises before laws are even written. The masses look for opportunity. The powerful look for infrastructure, legal, political, social, personal, and they build it long before they need it. Their alliances are not friendships, they are strategic ecosystems. People who understand influence, people who understand discretion, people who understand reciprocity. In this world, loyalty is not emotional, it is functional. It is earned through value, maintained through alignment, and protected through mutual benefit. The powerful do not cling to allies out of sentiment. They maintain alliances that reinforce their structure and exit those that threaten it. This is not coldness, it is survival. Now, how can someone outside the world of power apply these principles without slipping into unethical territory? You begin with small, lawful steps. First, develop your own information system. Not insider secrets, just awareness. Study policy changes, market patterns, and incentives that shape financial trends. The average person consumes news. The powerful analyze signals. Second, build liquidity strategically. Set aside capital not merely as savings, but as future leverage. Opportunities rarely appear in calm times. They rise from panic. Liquidity allows you to act when the world freezes. Third, protect your reputation. Whether personal or professional, credibility is capital. Guard it, build it, use it to influence how others perceive your value. In a crisis, reputation becomes your shield. Fourth, build alliances, not acquaintances. Seek people who elevate your competence and challenge your thinking. Offer value before asking. Reciprocity builds more protection than isolation ever could. Even without millions, you can practice the architecture of insulation, because wealth protection is not only for the rich, it is for anyone who wishes to rise without crumbling. And in a Machiavellian world, those who survive are not the strongest or the loudest, they are the most prepared. The powerful understand a truth that most people refuse to accept. Wealth is not protected by defense, it is protected by dominance. Not dominance over others, but dominance over one's own environment. The weak try to predict circumstances. The powerful shape them. They do not wait for outcomes. They engineer conditions where the odds bend in their favor. In the architecture of power, the greatest risk is exposure to randomness. Chance destroys more fortunes than catastrophe. Catastrophe, at least, is visible. Randomness is silent, undetected until it has already taken its prize. The powerful eliminate randomness by creating systems where almost every outcome benefits them. This is why powerful people diversify not only assets, but leverage points. They distribute influence across arenas, finance, law, industry, public perception, so that no single failure threatens their foundation. Wealth is shielded by influence, and influence is built across layers. The masses try to win with one weapon. The powerful fight with an arsenal. But before they build wealth structures, they build self-governance. The powerful protect their wealth by protecting themselves from their own impulses. They know that undisciplined emotion is the most expensive liability a person can possess. Greed weakens judgment, fear weakens strategy, pride weakens alliances. Impulse fractures wealth faster than economic collapse. The powerful cultivate internal austerity. Not financial austerity, but psychological austerity. They train themselves to act without panic, decide without emotion, and respond without ego. Their detachment is not coldness, it is armor. In chaos, the masses look outward for guidance. The powerful look inward for clarity. When others break under pressure, they calculate. When others seek reassurance, they seek advantage. Discipline is wealth. Emotion is breach. But the powerful also understand that isolation is dangerous. Solitude breeds blindness. No matter how intelligent, no one sees the entire terrain alone. This is why powerful people construct circles of competence, small groups of individuals whose expertise covers each blind spot. Not friends, not confidants, specialists. People who understand fields the sovereign does not. People who warn of dangers the sovereign cannot see. People who strengthen the structure by eliminating informational blind zones. The poor seek validation. The powerful seek correction. This is why powerful people elevate advisors who disagree with them. They know that harmony is pleasant but useless. Challenge sharpens strategy. Resistance sharpens intelligence. A counsel that never pushes back is not a counsel, it is a liability. Yet, in these circles, the powerful maintain one rule: proximity is not equality. Advisors provide insight, not control. Allies provide support, not direction. The powerful listen widely but decide singularly. Because the moment decision-making is delegated, sovereignty is fractured. True protection requires central authority, supported by distributed intelligence. The head must remain singular. The arms must be many. A body with two heads is a monster. A body with many arms is a force. But among all these mechanisms, the most misunderstood area of wealth protection is legal foresight. The powerful do not wait for legal threats to appear before creating safeguards. They consult experts, anticipate vulnerabilities, and build compliant structures that prevent conflict long before it emerges. This is not avoidance, it is architecture. A fortress built after attack is too late. A fortress built before conflict is wisdom. Legal protection is not about secrecy. It is about clarity. Clear boundaries, clear rights, clear structure. The masses see contracts as formalities. The powerful see contracts as shields. Every relationship, every venture, every asset, every partnership is defined with precision. Ambiguity invites dispute. Precision prevents it. The powerful do not rely on trust or good faith. They rely on documentation that survives memory, emotion, and shifting loyalties. But beyond documents, the powerful protect wealth through optionality, the ability to shift direction without losing momentum. Optionality is the privilege of the prepared. It is the art of maintaining multiple paths forward so that no obstruction becomes fatal. When the masses commit to one route, the powerful cultivate three. Not because they are indecisive, but because they refuse to be trapped. A single road is vulnerability. A network of roads is sovereignty. This is why powerful people avoid unnecessary entanglements. They do not bind themselves to obligations that offer no return. They avoid partnerships that limit autonomy. They refuse commitments that reduce flexibility. To them, freedom is not a luxury, it is a prerequisite for survival. And yet, the most Machiavellian form of protection lies not in finance or law, but in psychological positioning. Powerful people project a presence that discourages threat, not through aggression, but through an aura of control. People rarely attack what they believe they cannot defeat. They rarely challenge what appears unshakable. Perception becomes barrier. Reputation becomes deterrent. Stability becomes intimidation. This is why the powerful speak less than they are capable of speaking. Silence creates mystique. Mystique creates distance. Distance creates security. They understand that the more predictable you are, the easier you are to attack. The more enigmatic you are, the harder you are to manipulate. Unpredictability is not chaos, it is strategy. When others cannot anticipate your moves, they cannot undermine them. Now, how does someone outside the realm of influence apply these strategies without overstepping ethical or legal boundaries? Start with internal sovereignty. Control your impulses. Train emotional discipline. Wealth cannot be protected by a mind that surrenders to fear, envy, or impatience. Then build informational defense. Do not react to headlines. Study underlying incentives. Understand what pushes markets, industries, and institutions. The powerful do not memorize facts, they decode patterns. Next, build optionality into your life. Create multiple skills, multiple income pathways, multiple future paths. Not all must be used, but all must be available. Flexibility is the scaffolding of power. Finally, cultivate a reputation of competence and restraint. People respect clarity. They trust consistency. And trust once earned becomes protection. These are the foundations of wealth protection available to anyone willing to approach life with the discipline of a sovereign instead of the emotion of the crowd. And remember this, wealth is not protected by luck, intelligence, or even resources. Wealth is protected by architecture, and architecture is accessible to anyone who chooses to build instead of hope. Powerful people understand that wealth is never secure until it is self-sustaining. Not merely growing, not merely protected, self-sustaining. A system that no longer depends on the willpower, energy, or presence of its creator. This is the final stage of power, the point at which wealth stops being an asset and becomes an ecosystem. When wealth becomes ecosystem, it becomes unassailable. Most people work for their money. Some people make their money work for them. But the powerful build systems where money works for itself. This transformation begins when they detach income from labor. Then they detach income from time. But the true breakthrough occurs when they detach income from their identity entirely. The system no longer needs their personality, their reputation, their charisma, or their constant surveillance. At this point, wealth becomes like a machine, cold, predictable, relentless, and nearly impossible to dismantle. This is why the powerful treat wealth like infrastructure. They maintain it, upgrade it, and expand it, but they do not revolve their lives around it. Infrastructure does not feel. It does not panic. It does not decay from emotion. It operates with mechanical precision. A fortune built this way cannot be derailed by stress, envy, mistakes, or the emotional storms that destroy lesser fortunes. But even the strongest system is vulnerable without successors, not just heirs, but inheritors of strategy. The powerful plan for continuity in ways the masses never consider. They know the greatest threat to wealth is not external attack. It is internal decay caused by incompetence or disunity after they are gone. So they do something the average person postpones until too late. They design their replacement, not through sentiment, but through structure. They define roles, responsibilities, and pathways of authority. They pass down not only assets, but frameworks, not only instructions, but principles. They build a lineage of competence, a chain of stewardship, rather than a chain of entitlement. Powerful people do not pass wealth blindly. They pass power deliberately, and they protect their legacy through clarity. Clear documents, clear structures, clear succession. Where the masses rely on hope, the powerful rely on architecture. But even with legacy secured, there remains one more frontier, the battlefield of public exposure. The powerful understand that visibility is both tool and threat. Too much attention invites attack. Too little attention invites irrelevance. The sovereign maintains a balance, visible enough to shape perception, invisible enough to avoid becoming a target. They reveal just enough to remain credible. They hide just enough to remain unpredictable. And unpredictability is not vanity, it is defense. Every predictable person becomes easy prey. Every predictable fortune becomes easy to undermine. The powerful introduce deliberate opacity into their decisions. They stagger their moves. They vary their strategies. They shift patterns the moment others begin to understand them. Predictability is convenience for others. Unpredictability is protection for oneself. Still, the most decisive form of wealth protection lies not in structures, but in the elimination of dependency. Dependency on a single employer, a single income stream, a single government, a single social circle, a single ideology. Every dependency becomes a chain, and every chain becomes leverage in the hands of others. Powerful people engineer independence so complete that no one can corner them. If one market collapses, they pivot. If one industry expires, they shift. If one region becomes hostile, they relocate. If one partner turns untrustworthy, they move on. Their freedom is their fortress. But while the masses chase freedom through escape, the powerful achieve freedom through construction. They build systems that support autonomy. They build alliances that preserve it. They build wealth strategies that reinforce it. And once independence is achieved, wealth becomes nearly inviolable. Yet, even after mastering structures, systems, influence, narrative, and independence, the most Machiavellian strategy remains. The powerful protect wealth by staying dangerous in the domains that matter, and harmless in the domains that do not. They never appear as threats, where threat invites retaliation. They appear competent, not domineering. Essential, not intimidating. Valuable, not overpowering. To the public, they appear stable. To competitors, they appear unpredictable. To allies, they appear reliable. To themselves, they appear replaceable, which is why they build systems that do not require their presence. This strategic humility is not weakness. It is insulation. Now, how can someone outside the sphere of power apply these final principles? Begin with system building. No matter your income, create structures that generate returns without demanding constant input. Automate what can be automated. Delegate what can be delegated. Convert labor into leverage. Next, cultivate continuity. Document your processes. Organize your finances. Build an identity independent of your job or any single source of income. Continuity begins with order. Then, design strategic invisibility. You do not need to announce every success. You do not need to display every achievement. Let your output speak and your identity remain unexposed. Visibility should be intentional, never accidental. Finally, eliminate dependency wherever possible. Build more than one skill. Build more than one income stream. Build more than one path forward. Because dependency is the opposite of power, and independence is the foundation of permanence. The powerful are not protected by miracles or privilege. They are protected by design. Their wealth is not luck, it is architecture. Their security is not fortune, it is foresight. Their permanence is not chance, it is discipline. If you build as they build, you can protect as they protect. And if you protect as they protect, eventually you will rise as they rise. Not through force, not through manipulation, but through mastery of the structures that shape the world. In a Machiavellian universe, wealth is not merely owned. It is defended. It is insulated. It is engineered to survive. And the moment your wealth becomes architecture, not accumulation, you will no longer fear losing it because it will no longer depend on you to endure.